Welcome to another episode of Measured, and thank you for joining us today. Today's episode is going to be more focused around web. Web is kind of where it all started, and not that everything that we haven't really been talking about definitely deals in web, but I found, or I should say, I found my deep enjoy in web was actually building websites. And so our topics for today will be what makes a great website beyond its nice looks, the attention window, so how fast you have or how much time you have to communicate your value to your website visitor, the clarity trust path model. So clarity will break down what that trust path or trust is, and then the path, which is like that next click. What does that all mean? The above a fold essentials. This is a huge thing that comes way back to that time that you have for attention and above the fold. And we'll go through what above the fold means. Three big website. I said mistakes, and I shouldn't say they're all mistakes. Mishaps, things, problems that people run into that essentially why people leave is really kind of what we're going to look at there. A little self-audit that you can do or get someone involved with you. Then we'll have our customer question and then always end with our featured project, which is always my favorite segment. So what makes a great website? Being a website designer, I would like to say the looks. And unfortunately, that isn't always the thing. It's a nice part of it. A great website is a visitor can find you quickly or can do a task quickly. They can understand you or understand what you do. You have that clarity. They believe what you do, which is that trust. And they can take that next step, which is the path. And that's going to kind of take us into those three components here in a moment. So it's not always the prettiest site. It's not a site that has the absolute most pages. I always like to say the marketing gets the clicks, the website gets you to stay. So how do you get people? Obviously, you've taken the time to have the marketing to get people onto your site. How do you get them to stay? How do you get them to get engaged? Spend that time on your site, build up that authority, that engagement rate, something you can measure with Google Analytics. And that just means the amount of time that someone's spent on your site. And like I said, that can be tracked in Google Analytics. It starts when they land on that first page and then the amount of time they spend throughout it. So that attention window is a huge component when someone is landing on your site. So when we are talking about attention window, we mean when they first land on your site, you have about 0 to 3 seconds for speed to decide if you have a chance. We have talked about speed in multiple different episodes, but think of that. You have about 3 seconds for your site to load before you even gave a message, before someone's read anything, for they decide whether they're staying or going. So that speed played a large factor with SEO. It plays just a large factor just in general for your site visitor. You get about 3 to 10 seconds for clarity to decide if they stay. So what is this? Is it for me? What do I do next? What kind of messaging do you have? We're going to dive a little bit more into that messaging here in a moment when we get into the above the fold. And then you have 10 to 20 seconds for that trust to decide if they want to engage. So how do you build trust? What is that trust? Reviews can be a really simple thing. Examples, pricing, what else? Your contact information, actually showing off who you are. Those are large things. A website isn't competing with your competitors. It's competing with the back button. A fun little thing I put down there just that I wanted to say. But you just have to realize that, like, how fast did your site load? Great. Now they're there. Was your messaging simple enough? And then did you build enough trust there? And those are, again, we're going to talk about that multiple different times here. That's that clarity trust path model that I mentioned in the beginning. And so the clarity is, what do you do? Who is it for? What outcome do they get? And what makes them different? What makes you different? That is clarity. Are you answering those questions in those 3 to 10 seconds after that site loads? And it all comes really to your messaging. Trust, do I believe you? Easy things, reviews, having those testimonials. We talk about Google reviews quite a bit, and I am always encouraging our customers to ask their customers for Google reviews. Well, if you're taking the time to ask your customers for Google reviews, pull those out onto your website. There's different widgets for whichever platform you're on that you can embed those in to your website. Those, whatever they're putting out on Google, you can pull them in, build that trust, have that authority. Different logos or partner logos of companies that you do work for or you work with or brands that you carry. Another easy way just to build that. If people get familiar with someone else's logo and brand, and you can put that and associate it with your brand, just another easy way to build trust. Real photos. I will say this and preach it all day long. When we work with customers that have really good photography, their site designs are more authentic than anyone else's. So anytime that you are investing truly in your site, and then in the end, you're like, oh, just go grab some stock photos, which sometimes in different instances, it's perfectly fine. But when you can have your own media, your site will be night and day different over your competitor's site who is just using stock photography. So spend the money, get the photos. We don't even take them. So it's not me sitting here promoting a service that we offer, because I don't offer that. But I am a large component of having authentic photos for your business, for your service, whatever you're doing. Spend the money. If you're spending money on the website to, improve your brand, showcase your brand, in the end, your website is going to be a huge component, no matter really whatever industry you're in, as just the life that we're all in at this moment. But invest in those photos and really authenticate yourself to have them be your own. And it's going to make your site so much better. And then, so that's that trust. And the one other thing I'd say, if you're e-commerce, have those clear policies. What is your return policy? I feel like that is one of the biggest things that people come and look for. Shipping and returns. Like, how much am I going to pay to get this product to me? And what do I do? I want to send it back to you. How easy is that? And having those clear policies can also just be an easy way to build trust. And then path. And that is like, what do I do next? What is that call to action? Is there any friction? So having that one main call to action and removing any friction, especially like on a form or in a checkout process, making things as simple as possible. Guiding, you always hear people talk about a funnel. You're really going to walk those people through what they need to do next. Make it simple. Make them not think. The more you can make your users not have to think on your website to get them from start to finish for whatever plan you want. So if you're e-commerce, you get them to land, they find the product that they're looking for and they purchase. Or if you're just doing a service business, that you get them to land and you want to get them to schedule a call or want to learn more, or just fill out a form to inquire on something. Whatever that plan is, whatever that path you have set up, the simpler, the better. The less steps, the better. The more steps, you're just causing more friction. And this will pull into another segment that we're going to talk about anyway. But just have that clarity. Tell who you are. Get people to believe it. And then make those next steps as simple as possible. And so when we are talking about having those three different areas, a lot of it all happens when you are above the fold. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about above the fold here. I'm going to pull up an example. And if you're just listening to the podcast, you're not going to see it. But I just pulled up companiesmidwest.com. The company is called Midwest Companies. And so I'm going to jump back and forth, or I'll have the screen up and kind of go away from it too. But right now, the only thing I want you to realize is, what does above the fold mean? Above the fold just means whatever you're seeing right now at this moment. You have not scrolled. You have not clicked on anything. You went to the website. It has loaded. It is what you are seeing. That is above the fold. Above the fold just means that is any content shown to you before you had to do any action. So whether that is a click or a scroll, mainly the scroll portion is what you are seeing right now is above the fold. So anything you see before you scrolled away is what they mean by above the fold. So, oops, sorry. Above the fold, big things, having a headline, what to do, and a result. I believe in also having a subheader, no longer than a sentence, who it's for, how it works. A couple easy things to think of when you're doing. Primary call to action, one call to action. Now I'm going to show you on different pages on this example where there are some that they have two call to actions, but one primary call to action and then a proof signal. And not everything will have a proof signal that I'm going to show you in my examples, but it is really anything when you are above the fold, you have to really have that clarity, that trust, and that path for them what to do next. And this is all comes back to what makes a great website is really those people being able to pull in, having that clarity, having that trust, and having that path. Because you could have the most beautiful website in the world and have terrible messaging, and it's not going to matter. They're not going to do anything. Yes, they're going to come and they might feel all hunky dory that, oh, this is so cool. But who are they and what do they do? Or you may have a semi-looking website, but that you have awesome messaging and you've really focused in on that path that you want those people to take. And you're going to kick that person's butt who has that gorgeous website. And it is all because you took the time to care. And when we are building sites here at 154i, I like to have both. Now, obviously, the customer always has a say in what is happening in the messaging that's being shown. And sometimes the words that are being put out are very intentional for them, which is fine. In the end, it is your website. But I do feel you can have the best of both worlds. It doesn't just have to be one way or the other. So I'm going to go back into my example here because I'm going to show you a couple different things. And we're going to talk about that headline, the subheadline, and the call to action. So I'm back on companiesmidwest.com. Again, if you're just listening, you're not going to see it. Their headline is actually like their slogan, which is experience exceptional service. Now, this is where I kind of went back and forth with them because they do say it and they are tying it together in all their radio campaigns and everything, which is why it is there and it's big. But it doesn't truly tell them what you're going to have great service with what. So this is a component where I always like to say you have a subheadline. And for them, it's Midwest companies, so it says who they are, delivers dependable service and lasting results. Okay. From gutters and installation to concrete, landscaping, and lake services. So there it does hit on their different areas of service. We take pride in getting every project done right. Their big call to action is schedule a call. So Midwest companies is a little bit unique when they have actually 6 different companies that make up Midwest companies. And when you are looking at their site and they're above their fold, you will see links to each of their others, which is Guarantee Gutter, Midwest Spray Foam, Midwest Concrete and Excavating, Midwest Landscape and Design, Midwest Spas and More. I skipped one, I guess. Midwest Lake Service was the one I missed. And you can easily get to each one of those from here. And so their landing page on their homepage is a little bit unique because they have so many different areas of their business that are all very individually on who they are and what they do for that. So I'm going to point out a couple different things on this above the fold for them. You'll see their logo, which is in the top left, their navigation, which would be the links right to the right of the logo. Your navigation, usually have a main navigation on your website. It's always in the header of your website. The header is that top bar of any website. is usually what is considered the header of a website. And theirs is simple. It's about us, our companies, which just has the drop down of each of the companies that we just listed. They have a blog and contact us. And then they have two huge buttons on their screen. And one is unlock referral rewards, get rewarded. And then the other one's book an appointment, and their phone number huge. So one big thing with Midwest companies when we were working on this site was that they want the phone call. They want to talk to that person. So that phone number is huge, and that phone number is huge on every single page. It's in the header. It doesn't leave. It's always there. And you have to realize our call to action on this page was also schedule a call. So not only are we putting in the phone number out huge, making them feel comfortable to give them a call, you can also click schedule a call. Well, they will call you. So phone was huge and important to them. So for that, it is pretty clear. Now, what are the trust factors here? There really isn't. We don't have that clear testimonial or anything like that. So you can scroll down. There will be testimonials. It has some of those trust factors as it goes down lower. The sentence doesn't clearly break down everything. Now, we do have those other links if people are intrigued enough to click on them, would be another thing. And so I'm just going to go to one of their inside pages, which would be Guarantee Gutter. So with them, they have all these, like I said, 6 different businesses that are all tied into one site. And so now on this Guarantee Gutter page, you'll see their logo for Guarantee Gutter large, reliable gutters, guaranteed performance, get a free quote, schedule a call. So again, they have now put out that you can get a free quote, which is, I can click on, it takes you down, and it is just a calculator that you can get that instant rough estimate quote right then, right now. We had talked about building trust was honestly just giving out pricing. And so they have that right there, right now. Now you do have to click and it takes you down. You're on the same page. It doesn't load another page. Or again, you could schedule a call. They really want to talk to you. So don't be afraid to call them. And then I'm just going to show you one other one, which is their lake service. And don't get me wrong, some of their headlines are more on the fun, catchier side of things, making life on the water easy. Does that say everything that they do? No, it doesn't, because it doesn't entail all the aspects. But again, right away, view pricing or schedule a call. So they sell different hoists and docks, but I'm just going to look at hoists and for shore station, can't talk. But you can go in and look at their different lifts and hoists and get the pricing that you need. So by putting that out there, you're just helping build that clarity, that trust. Well, clarity is who you are, what you do, who is it for. But then the trust has those different factors of that. And so when you can be more transparent, if you are open to that, you can easily help build that out. So again, above the fold is anything that you see initially on their site. And that's kind of where we kind of go back on everything that we've been talking about there. And I just want you to just think of those different things that you might have. And we'll dive into this actually towards the end. So I'm going to turn my train of thought just a little bit into 3 mistakes or what usually kind of make up some mistakes that we see in a website. So yes, you want to have a great website, but what are some things? One is confusion. So using vague headlines, and you see this more and more, especially with AI. But when people just keep throwing in solutions, innovative, next level, elevate. I am sorry, this is just going to be my own personal rant. It's probably one of my least favorite words anymore, because you see it all the time from AI. AI always throws out that word elevate, and you just see it in so many people's sentences. You see it in so many people's headers of content that it's overused. And so realizing that there are some of those terms that are overused. Now, yes, it may need to be there for you because that is that word that makes the most sense. But just understanding that having too many offers at once We usually just like to say, like, even if you have a lot of offers going on, focus in on what is that main offer. Or make it so people know that you have multiple offers and they can click to see them. So don't force so many different offers on at once. Having that clear call to action. So obviously the example we were looking at was scheduling a call, but just knowing what you want your end user to do when they land on your site. What is that step that you want them to take? What is that path that you're wanting them to do? And excuse me, the worst thing that happens when people land on your site is if they have to figure it out. If the end user has to figure out any of it, who you are, what you do, if it's for them, all the above, yeah, I mean, you already lost them in the confusion side of it. So for those three, I'm just calling them mistakes. One is confusion. The two is friction. Long forms. And I have this discussion with customers all the time. The least amount of information you need to ask someone, the absolute better. Because the faster they can fill out the form, the better. Now, there are times and scenarios where I know a huge form that we built for a customer, but the individuals that were doing it were already pretty much customers. They were signing up for a service that they've already committed to. So yes, they knew they would have to do all of this information, and they were taking it from an online or a handwritten form to an online form. There are situations where long forms are perfect, but if you are truly just trying to generate a lead, the least amount of information you ask someone, the better off they're going to fill that information out. So short forms, name, phone, email, max is usually my top recommendation. People cringe. They want more information. Name, phone, email is usually my number one. And if you can settle for just name and email or name and phone, I think that can almost be even better as well. Hidden contact information can be friction. And when we build sites, as I mentioned, header of a website is usually where you have your logo and your navigation up top. And then in the footer of a website, which almost every single site has what they call a footer, it's the very bottom, the very last thing on your site is usually the footer of a website. And I am a high component, and that's going to be the wrong word. I highly recommend you putting your contact information in your footer. Why not tell people your address, your phone number, and your email address on every single page? Unless you are trying to hide it, which is just a friction point, give it to them. I'm not saying not have a contact us page, because you absolutely need a contact us page, but having that where I could find it at any moment on any page, I just know I have to scroll down. It is very common. If you go look at many individuals' websites or business websites, I should say in general, if you scroll down, you can gather that information right then and there. A lot of people want to know who you are or where are you actually located. And if you are willing to share that, share it. Don't cause that friction. Give it out to them. Put it in your footer. It's just there. It is an easy thing to do. One thing is too many menu items. So menu items, when we looked at that example for above the fold, where those navigation links, they had 4 of them. Real simple. I am a large also component. I keep saying the wrong word. I always highly encourage individuals to don't create pages just to create pages first and foremost, but organization of your site is just huge. The more you organize and simplify, the better off you're going to be. And having them start and having so many different options up front is just overwhelming. So yes, a lot of sites have a ton of pages, but if you can think through like how someone would react or come in or spend the time talking with people that are actually using your website, which is my number one thing, because obviously you understand what you do and who you are, but the average person coming may not know exactly where they need to go to get something, but you do just because you built it. But it's spending the time to build that structure out that that can just save in so much of that friction, but also just it's that experience in general. I am also a large component of having that search function and allowing someone just to type out what they're looking for and have it come back to you. So number two was friction. Those are things that you can avoid, but it's just knowing if you have that or not. And the last thing for number three is waiting. No one wants to wait for anything. And it goes back to our first part where we're talking about you have 0 to 3 seconds for your site to load. Slow load, huge. If that means you have to consolidate some of your large pictures, you saw on our sample that we were looking at for Midwest companies, it had a huge hero image. Yes, it had a huge hero image, but it loaded fast. Why did it load fast? Because we had saved the photo down to a small size and uploaded it. Did we give up some clarity for it? Yes, 110%. We gave up some clarity for it, but it still loaded fast, even though it took up the whole screen. An easy thing that people do is they want the large hero photo, but they just upload that beautiful photo that they got from the photographer, and it's huge file. Don't do that. Save it down. You may give up a little bit of clarity, but you're going to get it in speed. And a fast site, we have talked about it on the SEO side on how speed can be such a component for that. And that is just for your visitors in general. Having pop-ups really can cause wait time as well. I do think there's a time and place for a pop-up. And so I'm not telling you not to have any because I will use them here and there. Do I think you should have one always? No, it is annoying. I get that usually someone has taken action to obviously get that pop-up to close so they can see your site. And so there is a time and a place for them, but those can really cause some wait time. And just also video. I always am a high component if you're going to have video. Now, if you're using it in hero photo or hero portions, some may require you to have it actually loaded into your site. But when you are just like sharing out, like if you just have an overall overview of your company, highly recommend putting it up like on YouTube or Vimeo and then embedding that back in on your site. Just anything that you can do to have your site load faster will just take away from any of those issues that people have. So just remember that if you can take away confusion, you can take away friction, and you can take away wait, that your site will be even that much better than that pretty looking website that's sitting right next to everyone else's. And so with all of that, I like adding this kind of portion into the episodes of just doing a self audit. And for this self audit, I recommend you finding someone that is not afraid to share their opinion with you. When you look at your own website that you have, you're going to already feel that everything that I'm saying is right. And maybe you won't if you haven't really touched it in a while. And if you just did it, then you definitely are going to. But in 5 seconds, can I say, what do you do? In 5 seconds, can I tell you who it's for? Do I see one obvious call to action or one obvious next step? Do I see proof without scrolling forever? And then what was that first friction point? So if you can find someone who is willing, ask them for 5 minutes, we'll just call it a 5-minute audit, that is willing just to pull up your website. Can you say what I do? Can you tell me who it's for? What is one obvious next step? And do you see proof without scrolling forever? So the scrolling forever part just means that if they have to go down a little bit to get a little bit more proof, that's fine. You're not going to be able to fit absolutely everything into that hero section of your site. But if people don't have to guess, then you're going to have a great website. And I think that's the biggest thing out of all of this. And as I said in the beginning, I love website design. I love designing websites. I love having people to have beautiful looking web. But it also does not mean that you give up everything else that truly can help make a great website just because you think that it looks really nice. Get your message, build that trust, have that path, and you can go out and kick everyone else's butt that is not taking the time to care enough about what that experience is on their website. And so, with all that said, we're going to move into our customer question of the day. And I'm just going to read this off to you. My old agency kept talking about impressions and clicks, but I never really saw the revenue change. What should I actually be paying attention to? And this is it was a very specific question, obviously. And it came from a customer that has an e-commerce business and was running paid ads. So it's very specific for it. But do I think impressions and clicks are bad? Metrics, no. What is an impression? An impression means that your ad was seen. It was put out. So if you were in Google, this was all happening. They were Google paid ads. So you were in Google, someone searched, I'll use the example of a men's golf polo. They're in Google. So you were in your search results page and you see a sponsored ad. So anytime that you see the word sponsor next to it, that means that it's a paid ad, and I saw it. So I saw that ad. Now, and you saw that ad. Those are impressions. It just means you saw them. Your ad was put out for a possibility on a search query, really is what that impression is. Just means someone saw it. Now, in click, just means that someone showed interest. So again, your ad was shown, and then, so you were searching for that men's golf polo, saw the ad, you clicked. That click gets counted. So they were getting all their data getting back to them were their impressions and clicks. So I am not saying that those were bad metrics that they were just being given, but why on earth that they weren't be getting like conversions, their conversion value, their return on ad spend, their return on investment through through Google? Like those, there's a lot of issues here. So take away that they were only being sold on impressions and clicks. Don't ever just allow someone to sell you on impressions and clicks, especially if you have an e-commerce website that you are selling tangible goods that someone can come on, buy, and you can ship out immediately. Like they were just with the wrong agency first and foremost. And that I'm glad that we were able to have a conversation with them. What should they be focusing on, or what did we tell them to focus on? Again, one of the biggest thing is, yes, you pay attention to obviously the click-through rate, and that comes with those keywords. So when you are doing your bidding, depending on how you're doing your bid structure, a lot of it comes off those keywords, whether they're exact or a broad match. Exact match means that you're bidding on words. Men's golf polo, if you had exact match, that you would have to type in men's golf polo for my ad to be shown to you. Now, broad match, let's say you were paying on golf polo and I put men's in, I would see your ad. I also could put women's in and maybe still see your ad because it's broad and it had golf polo. It pretty much allows Google to add additional keywords in that they feel are relevant. Now, if you really did a good job, obviously, it would probably know that you were not to showcase women's when a guy is looking for men's. But I'm just giving you that example of what broad means. That is where your clicks and impressions can really play a role. If you're not getting the conversion through, that conversion would, in this sense, would be a sale. So someone saw your ad, they clicked on your ad, they bought the polo. That would be a conversion. So all these metrics truly do mean and value something. But in the end, without that conversion value, and knowing if you had what that return on ad spend is. If you are spending a dollar to get someone there and you're only making a dollar, that means it's probably not worth it. But if you're spending a dollar and making $5 on those clicks and on that return on ad spend, then there is a lot of value there and that you want to keep building upon it. So for me, it's just understanding, focusing more on the sale, I guess, is the biggest thing, is the easiest way to say it. And when they started realizing all of that, like I said, it's just kind of a bizarre scenario, but I just wanted to share, because if anyone else is stuck in that kind of where someone's helping them and they're just really kind of showing them some of those metrics, but not really seeing that full picture, that you're not in the right spot and you need to find someone who can truly help you out. And just know that you can find those conversions, your conversion value, your return on ad spend, return on investment, track those numbers, make your money. There are a lot of great things about Google advertising, and we'll do a whole segment on it. Can't run the board. We'll do a whole segment on that on one of these episodes with Google Ads and everything, because we have not really dived into paid advertising at all. There's been a lot on SEO, and then this one we kind of focused on web. But we'll dive into some paid, because that is a large component of what we do, and I do enjoy helping people with it. Last but not least is our featured project. And our featured project, we chose Camp Okoboji. Now, they are located on Westlake Okoboji in Iowa, and they are a faith-based camp. They have different events and camps and clinics for all different age groups, families, you name it. And it was just a fun. We have been able to work with them. This might be the third design we have done with them. We took them they were on a different CRM and now content management system, CMS, sorry. And now they're on WordPress is what we had just moved them to from what they were on. And it was just a fun site to be able to do when they have great colors. They were just really open to about whatever we were putting out there for the design elements, and not saying that part was fun just because they were open to it, but it's fun just being able to take someone's vision and bring it to life. And that is exactly what we did here with them. If you are in the Okoboji area, feel free to check out campokoboji.com. If you go to their programs and events, you can just kind of see their different things. One of their big things in the summers are their youth camps. And you could just kind of go and check out each one that they have going on for this upcoming season. And yeah, campokoboji.org was that site. We appreciate you joining in for this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe on whichever platform that you're tuning in on, and we'll catch you next time.